In which country are the Sutherland Falls? New Zealand. The Sutherland Falls are among the most spectacular waterfalls in New Zealand, located in Fiordland National Park on the South Island. With a remarkable drop of 580 meters across 3 cascades, they are considered one of the tallest waterfalls globally, fed by the waters of Lake Quill. What is the largest flatfish species? Halibut. The halibut is the largest species of flatfish, characterized by its distinctive flat body and both eyes located on one side of its head as an adult. Found in temperate and Arctic waters of the North Atlantic and North Pacific Oceans, it is a significant commercially fished species. In what year did the USA adopt the Stars and Stripes flag? 1777. The United States officially adopted the Stars and Stripes flag, also known as the Flag of the United States, on June 14, 1777, by an act of the Second Continental Congress. This resolution established the design of 13 stripes, alternating red and white, and 13 white stars on a blue field, representing the original 13 colonies. The Aconcagua is the highest peak in which mountain range? Andes. Aconcagua is the highest mountain in the Americas and the highest outside of Asia, standing at an elevation of 6,960.8 meters, 22,837 feet. It is located in the Andes mountain range, specifically in the Mendoza province of Argentina. Guru Nanak Dev founded which religion? Sikhism. Guru Nanak Dev, 1469–1539, was the founder of Sikhism and the first of the 10 Sikh Gurus. He taught a message of devotion to one God, truthful living, and equality among all people. The Phoenix Park murders of 1882 took place in which city? Dublin. The Phoenix Park murders occurred on May 6, 1882, in Phoenix Park, Dublin, Ireland. Lord Frederick Cavendish, the Chief Secretary for Ireland, and Thomas Henry Burke, the Permanent Under-Secretary, were assassinated by a Fenian splinter group called the Irish National Invincibles. Who designed the famous Sagrada Familia Church in Barcelona? Antoni Gaudí. The Sagrada Familia is a large unfinished Roman Catholic minor basilica in Barcelona, Catalonia, Spain. Designed by Antoni Gaudí, its construction began in 1882 and is still ongoing. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and a prominent example of Catalan modernism. Who was Henry VIII's third wife? Jane Seymour. Jane Seymour was Queen of England from 1536 to 1537 as the third wife of King Henry VIII. She gave birth to the king's only surviving legitimate son, Edward VI, but died shortly after childbirth due to complications. From which seeds is tahini made? Sesame seeds. Tahini is a condiment made from toasted ground hulled sesame seeds. It is commonly used in cuisines of the Middle East, North Africa, the South Caucasus, and Southeast Europe, forming a key ingredient in dishes like hummus and baba ghanoush. What is the human ailment epistaxis, better known as? Nosebleed. Epistaxis is the medical term for a nosebleed, which is a common occurrence involving bleeding from the nose. It can be caused by various factors, including dry air, trauma, or certain medical conditions, and usually resolves on its own. Who created the sculpture Single Form, in memory of Dag Hammarskjöld, at the United Nations building in New York City, and Construction, Crucifixion, Homage to Mondrian, in the grounds of Winchester Cathedral? Dame Barbara Hepworth. Dame Barbara Hepworth was a prominent English sculptor known for her pioneering contributions to abstract art. Her works, like Single Form and Construction, Crucifixion, are celebrated for their organic forms and engagement with space and material. She is considered one of the most important figures in 20th century British art. What is the name given to the hypothesis, now superseded, that the movement of continents and the appearance of new crustal material at mid-ocean ridges is because the Earth's volume is increasing? Expanding Earth. The expanding Earth hypothesis proposed that the Earth's volume has slowly increased over geological time, leading to continental drift and the creation of new crust. This theory, popular in the mid-20th century, has largely been superseded by the more robust and evidence-backed theory of plate tectonics, which explains these phenomena through convection currents in the Earth's mantle without requiring a change in planetary volume. What is the longest and widest single nerve in the human body? Sciatic nerve. The sciatic nerve is the largest nerve in the human body, originating in the lower back and extending down through the hips, buttocks, and legs. It plays a crucial role in innervating the skin and muscles of the posterior thigh, leg, and foot. Conditions like sciatica, caused by compression or irritation of this nerve, can lead to significant pain and discomfort. What ship, less than a month after her maiden voyage in 1907, had the record for crossing the Atlantic eastbound, and in 1909 had a record time for the westbound crossing that stood for 20 years? Mauritania. The RMS Mauritania was a British ocean liner launched in 1906, renowned for its luxurious interiors and exceptional speed. She held the blue ribbon for the fastest westbound transatlantic crossing for an impressive 20 years and was also famous for her eastbound record. The Mauritania was a symbol of early 20th century maritime engineering and a celebrated vessel of the Cunard Line. Who was the President of the Confederate States of America following its formation in 1861? Jefferson Davis. Jefferson Davis was an American politician who served as the President of the Confederate States of America during the American Civil War, 1861 to 1865. A former U.S. Senator and Secretary of War, he was chosen to lead the secessionist states. His presidency was marked by significant challenges in uniting the Confederacy and managing its war effort against the Union. What is the study of plant diseases? Phytopathology. Phytopathology is the scientific study of diseases in plants, encompassing the causes, mechanisms, development, and control of plant pathogens. This field is crucial for understanding how to protect crops from diseases, ensuring food security and maintaining healthy ecosystems. Phytopathologists investigate fungi, bacteria, viruses, and other agents that cause plant illnesses. In England, Dick Turpin, 1706-39, Claude Duval, 1643-70, and John Neverson, 1639-84, were well known as what? Highwaymen. Highwaymen were robbers who operated on public roads, often on horseback, from the 17th to 19th centuries in England. They were known for ambushing travelers and demanding valuables, with figures like Dick Turpin achieving legendary status. Who was the first Prime Minister of Ceylon when it became independent on the 14th of October 1947? Don Stephen Senanayake. Don Stephen Senanayake served as the first Prime Minister of Ceylon, now Sri Lanka, from 1947 to 1952. He played a pivotal role in the country's independence movement and is widely regarded as the father of the nation. Which ex-European colony in China is at the mouth of the Canton River? Macau. Macau, located at the mouth of the Pearl River, historically known as Canton River, was a Portuguese colony until its handover to China in 1999. It is now a special administrative region of China, known for its unique cultural heritage and vibrant economy. Who were the USA fighting a war against in 1812 when the successful American defense of Fort McHenry in September 1814 inspired the lyrics of the U.S. national anthem, The Star-Spangled Banner? Great Britain. The War of 1812 was fought between the United States and Great Britain from 1812 to 1815. The successful American defense of Fort McHenry during the Battle of Baltimore was a key event, inspiring Francis Scott Key to write the poem that became The Star-Spangled Banner, the U.S. national anthem. Who, in 1919, achieved the first nuclear disintegrations by bombarding nitrogen with alpha particles? Ernest Rutherford. Ernest Rutherford, often called the father of nuclear physics, achieved the first artificial nuclear disintegration in 1919. He demonstrated that atoms could be transmuted by bombarding nitrogen nuclei with alpha particles, leading to the creation of oxygen and the discovery of the proton. What fate made Spencer Perceval unique among British prime ministers? He was assassinated. Spencer Perceval served as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom from 1809 until his assassination in 1812. He remains the only British Prime Minister to have been assassinated, marking a unique and tragic event in the history of British politics. In Greek legend, what is the name for a woodland deity, typically depicted as half man and half goat? Satyr. A satyr is a mythological creature from Greek folklore, often associated with the god Dionysus. They are typically depicted as having the upper body of a man and the legs and horns of a goat, symbolizing wildness and revelry. Which 400 kilometers, 249-mile, journey did Mahatma Gandhi lead in 1930 to protest the British imposed salt tax? Dandi Salt March. The Dandi Salt March, also known as the Salt Satyagraha, was a non-violent civil disobedience movement led by Mahatma Gandhi in colonial India. It was a pivotal moment in the Indian independence movement, challenging the British salt monopoly and demonstrating the power of non-violent resistance. In which country is the Three Gorges Dam located? China. The Three Gorges Dam is a hydroelectric gravity dam that spans the Yangtze River in Hubei Province, China. It is the world's largest power station in terms of installed capacity and is a major engineering marvel, though it has also been associated with environmental and social concerns. What is the next number in the series? 1, 8, 27, 64, 125? 216. This is a mathematical series where each number is the cube of consecutive natural numbers. The pattern is 1 cubed equals 1, 2 to the power of 3 equals 8, 3 to the power of 3 equals 27, 4 to the power of 3 equals 64, 5 to the power of 3 equals 125. Therefore, the next number in the series is 6 cubed, which equals 216. Which building, symbolic of injustice, was attacked on the 14th of July 1789, marking the start of the French Revolution? The Bastille. The storming of the Bastille on July 14, 1789, was a pivotal moment in the French Revolution. The Bastille, a medieval fortress used as a prison, symbolized the oppressive rule of the Bourbon monarchy. Its fall signified a major popular uprising against royal authority and is widely considered the beginning of the French Revolution. Who was the 17th century Anglo-Irish scientist who discovered that the volume of a given mass of gas at a given temperature is inversely proportional to its pressure? Robert Boyle. Robert Boyle was a prominent Anglo-Irish natural philosopher, chemist, physicist, and inventor. His most famous scientific contribution is Boyle's law, which describes the inverse relationship between the absolute pressure and volume of a gas, provided the temperature and amount of gas remain constant within a closed system. What is the name of the system whereby a number of persons subscribe to an invested fund which becomes the property of the last survivor? Tontine. A tontine is an investment scheme where participants contribute to a common fund, and the last surviving member or members ultimately receive the entire fund. Popular from the 17th to 19th centuries, tontines are now largely illegal in many jurisdictions due to moral hazard concerns. What is the name of the process by which plants obtain carbohydrates from carbon dioxide in water? Photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the fundamental biochemical process used by plants, algae, and some bacteria to convert light energy into chemical energy. This process synthesizes glucose, carbohydrates, from carbon dioxide in water, releasing oxygen as a byproduct, and is crucial for most life on Earth. During World War II, where was the HQ of the English code cracking unit that was set up to decipher the output from the Enigma machine? Bletchley Park. Bletchley Park was the primary centre for Allied codebreakers during World War II, located in Buckinghamshire, England. Its critical role in deciphering Nazi Germany's Enigma and Lorentz ciphers provided crucial intelligence, known as Ultra, significantly aiding the Allied war effort. What is the dam in the Black Canyon of the Colorado River on the border between the U.S. states of Arizona and Nevada that was completed in 1935? Hoover Dam. The Hoover Dam is a concrete arch-gravity dam situated in the Black Canyon of the Colorado River, on the border of Arizona and Nevada. Completed in 1935 during the Great Depression, it was a monumental engineering feat providing flood control, hydroelectric power, and water supply to the southwestern United States. Which jazz musician has a memorial, created by sculptor Robert Graham and unveiled in 1997, in Central Park, New York, near the intersection of 5th Avenue and 100th Street? Duke Ellington. Duke Ellington was an iconic American jazz composer, pianist, and bandleader, a central figure in the history of jazz music. His memorial in Central Park honors his immense contributions to American culture and his enduring legacy in music. In which country would you find the Moorish castle called the Alhambra? Spain. The Alhambra is a magnificent palace and fortress complex located in Granada, Andalusia, Spain, representing one of the finest examples of Moorish architecture. It was originally built as a small fortress in 889 AD and later extensively rebuilt and expanded by the Nasrid emirs in the 13th century. What is the highest mountain on Antarctica? Vinson Massif. Vinson Massif is the highest mountain in Antarctica, situated in the Sentinel Range of the Ellsworth Mountains. Standing at an elevation of 4,892 meters, 16,050 feet, it is a prominent geographical feature of the continent and a significant mountaineering challenge. Who, in the 16th century, published De Revolutione Bus Orbium Coelestium, the theory that underlies our current understanding of the relationship of the Earth to the Sun and the planets? Nicolaus Copernicus. Nicolaus Copernicus was a Renaissance-era mathematician and astronomer who formulated a model of the universe that placed the Sun, rather than Earth, at its center. His book, published in 1543, laid the foundation for modern astronomy and is considered a seminal event in the scientific revolution. Which chief laid siege to Fort Detroit in 1763, an action that led to widespread rebellion against colonists in the area around Ohio and Illinois? Pontiac. Chief Pontiac was an Ottawa leader who led a large confederation of Native American tribes in Pontiac's War, 1763 to 1766, against British occupation of the Great Lakes region after the French and Indian War. The siege of Fort Detroit was a major event, showcasing indigenous resistance to colonial expansion and influencing British policy towards Native Americans. How many semitones are there in an octave? 12. An octave in Western music is the interval between one musical pitch and another with double its frequency. It is divided into 12 semitones, each representing the smallest interval in the chromatic scale, forming the basis of Western musical scales and harmony. When was the euro first used as a unit of currency? 1999. The euro was officially introduced on January 1, 1999, as an accounting currency for cashless transactions in 11 European Union member states. Euro banknotes and coins entered circulation 3 years later, on January 1, 2002, fully replacing national currencies. What is the French name for Lake Geneva? Lac Léman. Lake Geneva, one of the largest lakes in Western Europe, is known as Lac Léman in French. Situated on the border between Switzerland and France, it is a significant geographical feature and a major tourist destination for both countries. Who was president of Uganda from 1971 to 1979 and was depicted in the film, The Last King of Scotland? Idi Amin. Idi Amin Dada Umi was the third president of Uganda, reigning from 1971 to 1979. His rule was characterized by political repression, economic mismanagement, and widespread human rights abuses, leading to the deaths of an estimated 100,000 to 500,000 Ugandans. What city was once known as Lutetia? Paris. The ancient Roman city that is now Paris was originally known as Lutetia, Latin, or Lutetia, French. It was founded by the Parisi, a Gallic tribe, on an island in the Seine River, and later developed significantly under Roman rule. Which British playwright won the 2005 Nobel Prize for Literature? Harold Pinter. Harold Pinter was a renowned British playwright, screenwriter, director, and actor. He was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature in 2005 for his works, which are characterized by their distinctive pauses, veiled threats, and exploration of memory, power, and illusion. According to Roman legend, which son of Ceres was turned into a river in Tartarus which supplied the Titans with water in their battle with the gods? Acheron. Acheron, often called the River of Woe, is one of the 5 rivers of the underworld in Greek mythology, later adopted by Roman mythology. It was believed to separate the world of the living from the world of the dead, where souls were ferried across. What is a legal defense for being somewhere other than at the scene of a crime? Alibi. An alibi is a form of defense used in criminal proceedings where the defendant attempts to prove that they were elsewhere when the crime was committed. It serves as evidence to establish the defendant's physical absence from the scene of the crime. In which literary work does the character of Mrs. Malaprop appear? Sheridan's The Rivals. Mrs. Malaprop is a comedic character from Richard Brinsley Sheridan's 1775 play, The Rivals. She is famous for her unwitting misuse of words, creating a type of error now known as a malapropism, where a similar sounding word is used instead of the correct one. What is the next in the series, Melbourne, Rome, Tokyo, Mexico City? Munich. This series represents cities that have hosted the Summer Olympic Games in chronological order. Following Melbourne, 1956, Rome, 1960, Tokyo, 1964, and Mexico City, 1968, Munich hosted the Summer Olympics in 1972. What is petrology, the study of? Rocks. Petrology is the branch of geology that focuses on the origin, composition, structure, and classification of rocks. It involves studying igneous, metamorphic, and sedimentary rocks to understand Earth's geological processes. Who, with his crew, was the first person to circumnavigate the continents of North and South America, including a transit of the Northwest Passage? Sir Robert McClure. Sir Robert McClure was an Irish Arctic explorer who, in 1854, completed the first circumnavigation of the Americas by sailing through the Bering Strait, passing the Northwest Passage, and eventually exiting through the Atlantic. Although his ship, HMS Investigator, was trapped in ice, his crew completed the journey on foot and by other ships, thus proving the existence of the Northwest Passage. According to Greek legend, whose fate was to stand near the garden of the Hesperides and support the universe on his shoulders? Atlas. In Greek mythology, Atlas was a titan condemned by Zeus to hold up the celestial sphere for eternity, a punishment for leading the Titans in their war against the Olympian gods. He is famously depicted carrying the world on his shoulders, though originally it was the heavens. What American Indian word was used to describe the first International Boy Scout rally held at Olympia, London, in 1920? Jamboree. The term, jamboree, is an American Indian word adopted by the Boy Scout movement. The first World Scout Jamboree was held in 1920 in Olympia, London, bringing together scouts from various nations to foster international camaraderie and scouting ideals. What organization, formed by Reverend John Flynn and based in Cloncurry, Queensland, Australia, began in 1928? Royal Flying Doctor Service. The Royal Flying Doctor Service of Australia, founded by Reverend John Flynn in 1928, provides aeromedical emergency and primary healthcare services to people living in remote and rural areas. It is a pioneering and vital organization in remote healthcare provision. Normally, a string quintet contains how many violins? 2. A standard string quintet typically consists of 5 string instruments. This usually includes 2 violins, 2 violas, and 1 cello, with this combination being the most common formation for such an ensemble. What phrase used by the US during the Cold War to justify American intervention around the world suggested that if any country came under the influence of communism, the surrounding countries would follow? Domino theory. The domino theory was a Cold War-era geopolitical postulate asserting that if one country in a region came under the influence of communism, then the surrounding countries would follow in a domino effect. It was extensively used by successive US administrations to justify interventionist foreign policy, particularly in Southeast Asia. What is the Russian rocket launch and development site in the Astrakhan Oblast, between Volgograd and Astrakhan, established in 1946? Kapustin Yar. Kapustin Yar is a significant Russian rocket launch and development site located in the Astrakhan Oblast. Established in 1946, it has played a crucial role in the Soviet and Russian space and missile programs, serving for missile tests, satellite launches, and experimental rocketry. Nelson defeated Napoleon's fleet, which lost 13 of 17 ships, in which battle in Aboukir Bay on 1 August 1798? Battle of the Nile. The Battle of the Nile, fought in Aboukir Bay in 1798, was a decisive naval engagement during the French Revolutionary Wars. Admiral Horatio Nelson's British fleet severely damaged Napoleon Bonaparte's fleet, crippling French power in the Mediterranean and isolating his army in Egypt. What is the lowest positive integer that is both the square of one integer and the cube of another? 64. The number 64 is unique as it is the smallest positive integer that fulfills both conditions. It can be expressed as 8 squared, 8 times 8 equals 64, and also as 4 cubed, 4 times 4 times 4 equals 64. This demonstrates a fundamental concept in number theory related to perfect squares and perfect cubes. Which mountain range is located between Lake Champlain and the St. Lawrence River in the state of New York, USA? Adirondacks. The Adirondack Mountains are rugged, forested range in northeastern New York, forming a significant part of the vast Adirondack Park. Geologically, they are an extension of the Canadian Shield, characterized by ancient, metamorphosed rocks. This region is renowned for its wilderness and natural beauty. Who developed the first widely successful vaccination in Western countries in 1796 against smallpox? Edward Jenner. Edward Jenner, an English physician, is credited with pioneering the world's first vaccine against smallpox in 1796. He observed that milkmaids exposed to cowpox were immune to smallpox, leading him to inoculate a boy with cowpox material, which successfully conferred protection. His groundbreaking work laid the foundation for modern vaccinology and immunology. Watt scale, initially relating wind conditions to their effects on the sails of a man of war, ranges from sufficient for steerage to which canvas sails couldn't withstand. Beaufort scale. The Beaufort scale is an empirical measure that relates wind speed to observed conditions at sea or on land. Developed in 1805 by Admiral Francis Beaufort, it was originally designed for mariners to estimate wind force based on the impact on ship sails. Today, it remains a standard tool in meteorology for classifying wind strength. A vestry is a distinctive feature of what type of building? Church. A vestry is a room or apartment within a church, primarily used for storing vestments and sacred vessels. It also serves as a preparatory area for clergy and choir members before services and often hosts meetings for the church's administrative committees. In 2008, who was the president of Palestine and Fatah leader? Mahmoud Abbas. Mahmoud Abbas has served as the president of the State of Palestine and the Palestinian National Authority since 2005. He is also the chairman of the Palestine Liberation Organization, PLO, and the Fatah political party. Which river flows from north to south through eastern New York State, USA, and forms the border between Pennsylvania and New Jersey before emptying into the Atlantic Ocean? Hudson. The Hudson River is a 507 km river that flows predominantly south through eastern New York State, eventually emptying into the Atlantic Ocean. It is a vital waterway for the region, named after Henry Hudson, an English explorer. Launched on the 4th of March 2001 as the largest ship operated by the U.S. Navy, this aircraft carrier is named after which past U.S. president? Ronald Reagan. The USS Ronald Reagan, CVN-76, is a Nimitz-class supercarrier of the United States Navy. Named after the 40th U.S. President, Ronald Reagan, it was commissioned in 2003 and plays a significant role in projecting naval power. What is a highly magnetized, rotating, neutron star emitting a beam of electromagnetic radiation that can only be observed when the beam of emission is pointing towards the Earth, known as the lighthouse effect? Pulsar. A pulsar is a highly magnetized, rotating neutron star that emits beams of electromagnetic radiation from its magnetic poles. This radiation can only be detected when the beam is pointed towards Earth, creating a periodic lighthouse effect as the star spins. Which country became a self-governing state within the British Empire in 1959, declared independence from Britain, joining the Federation of Malaysia in 1963, and left the Federation on the 9th of August 1965? Singapore. Singapore gained self-governance from the British in 1959, briefly joining the Federation of Malaysia in 1963 before separating to become a fully independent republic on August 9, 1965. This complex path to nationhood highlights its unique geopolitical challenges and economic rise. In Britain, what was the name given to the M4 medium tank that was produced by the US from World War II until the end of the Korean War? Sherman. The M4 Sherman was the primary medium tank used by the United States and other Western allies during World War II. Named Sherman by the British, it was produced in vast numbers and played a crucial role in Allied victories across various fronts. Horatio Nelson lost his right eye in which battle? Calvi, Corsica. Horatio Nelson, a renowned British admiral, sustained the injury that led to the loss of his right eye during the siege of Calvi in Corsica in 1794. This event occurred during the French Revolutionary Wars, where Nelson played a crucial role in naval operations. What is the word commonly thought to mean? A morbid fear of open spaces. Agoraphobia. Agoraphobia is an anxiety disorder characterized by a fear of places and situations that might cause panic, helplessness, or embarrassment, often associated with a fear of open or crowded spaces. It can lead individuals to avoid situations where escape might be difficult or help unavailable. In Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and New Orleans, Louisiana, what is the name for the day called Shrove Tuesday in Ireland and the UK, where it is celebrated with pancakes? Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras, meaning Fat Tuesday in French, is the carnival celebration held on Shrove Tuesday, the day before Ash Wednesday and the start of Lent. It is famously celebrated with parades and festivities in places like New Orleans, USA, and Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, where it is known as Carnival. Which Greek mathematician, from the 1st century BC, is best known for the theorem which bears his name and for leading a group who discovered square numbers and proposed that the Earth was round, planets have an axis, and they travel around the Sun? Pythagoras. Pythagoras was an influential Ionian Greek philosopher and mathematician, often credited with the Pythagorean theorem, which describes the relationship between the sides of a right-angled triangle. While some advanced astronomical ideas are attributed to his followers, his school made significant contributions to mathematics and early scientific thought. In sheep's stomach put finely minced heart, lungs and liver of sheep, 2 chopped onions, 1 pound suet, juice of 1 lemon, 1/2 pt oatmeal, 2 teaspoons salt, 1 teaspoon pepper, 1/2 grated nutmeg, 1/2 pt gravy, boil 3 hours is a recipe for what? Haggis. Haggis is a traditional Scottish savoury pudding containing sheep's pluck, heart, liver, and lungs, minced with onion, oatmeal, suet, spices, and salt, mixed with stock, and traditionally encased in the animal's stomach. It is a national dish of Scotland, often served with neeps and tatties, turnips and potatoes, especially on Burns night. Which U.S. state capital is on the banks of the Cumberland River? Nashville, Tennessee. Nashville is the capital and most populous city of the U.S. state of Tennessee, located on the Cumberland River. The river has played a significant role in the city's history, facilitating trade and transportation, and remains a prominent geographical feature. Who was the first woman to make a solo flight from England to Australia in 1930? Amy Johnson. Amy Johnson was a pioneering English aviator who, in 1930, became the first woman to fly solo from England to Australia. Her remarkable flight in her Gypsy Moth aircraft, Jason, took 17 days, making her a celebrated figure in aviation history and an inspiration for women. CRP, or CREEP, was the committee to re-elect which U.S. president? Richard Nixon. The Committee to Re-elect the President, CRP, often mockingly referred to as CREEP, was a fundraising organization for President Richard Nixon's 1972 re-election campaign. It gained notoriety for its involvement in illegal activities during the Watergate scandal, including money laundering and political espionage. What is the familiar name for the British flag? Union Jack. The Union Jack is the national flag of the Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. It is a symbolic representation formed by superimposing the flags of England, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, showcasing the union of these constituent countries. What is the name given to a class of coal that contains a high percentage of fixed carbon and burns smokelessly with intense heat? Anthracite. Anthracite is the highest rank of coal, known for its high fixed carbon content, typically 90 to 95%, and low volatile matter. It burns with a smokeless flame and produces intense heat, making it a premium quality fuel. What is the largest island of Denmark that includes the cities of Copenhagen and Helsinki? Zealand. Zealand, or Sjælland in Danish, is the largest and most populous island of Denmark. It is home to the national capital, Copenhagen, and holds significant cultural and economic importance for the country. What was the name of the temporary harbors that were towed to the French coast to facilitate D-Day landings on 5 and 6 June 1944? Mulberry. The Mulberry harbors were portable temporary harbors developed by the British during World War II. These innovative structures were crucial for the success of the D-Day landings in Normandy, providing essential logistical support for unloading troops and supplies onto the beaches. Which one of the 4 big cats in the Panthera genus is the only one found in the New World, i.e., Mexico, across much of Central America, and south to Paraguay and northern Argentina? Jaguar. The jaguar, Panthera onca, is the largest native cat species in the Americas and the only extant New World member of the Panthera genus. It is a keystone species, vital for maintaining the balance of ecosystems across its range in Central and South America. Which city hosted the 2012 Summer Olympics, making it the first city to host the Games 3 times? London. London notably hosted the Summer Olympic Games in 1908, 1948, and 2012, setting a record as the first city to host the modern games on 3 separate occasions. This reflects its prominent role in international sports history. Who wrote the plays Waiting for Godot, Endgame, Play, Happy Days, and Krapp's Last Tape? Samuel Beckett. Samuel Beckett was an Irish avant-garde novelist, playwright, theatre director, and poet. He is considered one of the most influential writers of the 20th century, particularly known for his minimalist and existentialist plays like Waiting for Godot, a seminal work of the theatre of the absurd. Which theatre in Dublin, built in 1904, where George Bernard Shaw, W.B. Yeats, Pádraic Colum, and Sean O'Casey premiered many of their plays, was severely damaged by fire in 1951? Abbey Theatre. The Abbey Theatre, also known as the National Theatre of Ireland, opened in Dublin in 1904. It played a crucial role in the Irish literary revival, premiering works by major playwrights like Yeats and O'Casey, and remains a significant cultural institution despite a fire in 1951. Which was fought from 1839 to 1842 and 1856 to 1860, resulted from Britain smuggling goods from India into China in defiance of Chinese laws? The Opium Wars. The Opium Wars were 2 conflicts between Britain and China in the mid-19th century, primarily over Britain's illegal opium trade in China. These wars led to significant territorial concessions, unequal treaties, and marked a period of Western dominance and humiliation for China, deeply influencing its modern history. What military rank and historical title for hereditary commanders of armies in Japan ended when Tokugawa Yoshinobu relinquished the office in 1867? Shogun. The shogun was a military dictator of Japan during feudal times, holding significant de facto power from 1185 to 1868. The relinquishment of this office by Tokugawa Yoshinobu in 1867 marked the end of the Tokugawa shogunate and paved the way for the Meiji Restoration, restoring imperial rule. What song, written by Woody Guthrie in 1940 in response to the overplaying of Irving Berlin's God Bless America, is now famously known? This Land Is Your Land. This Land Is Your Land is one of the most famous American folk songs, written by Woody Guthrie in 1940. It was composed as an alternative to God Bless America, aiming to reflect a more inclusive and critical view of American society and its democratic ideals, becoming an anthem for various social and political movements. What substance, produced by the cortex of the suprarenal glands, stimulates the autonomic nervous system? Adrenaline. Adrenaline, epinephrine, is a hormone and neurotransmitter primarily produced by the adrenal medulla. It is crucial for the fight or flight response, stimulating the autonomic nervous system to increase heart rate, blood pressure, and energy availability during stressful situations. Which mountain range spans North Africa for over 1,500 miles, extending from Cape Nun on the Atlantic coast to Cape Bon on the Mediterranean? Atlas Mountains. The Atlas Mountains are a prominent mountain range across the Maghreb region of North Africa, traversing Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia. They separate the Mediterranean and Atlantic coastlines from the Sahara Desert and are home to diverse ecosystems and unique flora and fauna. Why did 66 nations, including the United States, Canada, West Germany, and Japan, boycott the 1980 Olympic Games held in Moscow? USSR's participation in the Afghan Civil War. The 1980 Summer Olympics boycott was a major international political event, initiated by the United States to protest the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan in December 1979. Over 60 countries joined the boycott, significantly impacting the Games and reflecting the heightened tensions of the Cold War era. Which city was settled by the French in 1718, ceded to Spain in 1763, fell to France in 1800, and was bought by the USA in 1803? New Orleans. New Orleans, strategically located on the Mississippi River, has a rich colonial history. It was founded by the French, then controlled by Spain, briefly returned to France, and finally became part of the United States through the Louisiana Purchase in 1803, a pivotal moment in American expansion. What is next in the series? Catherine, Annie, Jane, Annie, Catherine? Catherine. This series refers to the wives of King Henry VIII of England, Catherine of Aragon, Annie Boleyn, Jane Seymour, Annie of Cleves, Catherine Howard, and Catherine Parr. The next in the sequence would be Catherine Parr, his sixth and final wife. The publication of which book by Salman Rushdie led to threats on his life by Ayatollah Khomeini? The Satanic Verses. Salman Rushdie's novel, The Satanic Verses, published in 1988, caused widespread controversy, particularly in the Islamic world, due to its perceived blasphemous content. In 1989, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini of Iran issued a fatwa calling for Rushdie's death, leading to years of security challenges for the author. Over 99.9% of an atom's mass is concentrated in what part of the atom? Nucleus. The nucleus is the dense central core of an atom, composed of protons and neutrons. Despite its small size relative to the entire atom, it contains nearly all of the atom's mass, while electrons orbit at a much greater distance. Which is the largest of the Channel Islands, where the official language is French? Jersey. Jersey is the largest of the Channel Islands, a self-governing British Crown dependency located near the coast of Normandy, France. While English is widely spoken, French remains an official language, reflecting its historical and cultural ties to France. What appeared in the Netherlands in 1608, developed by Hans Lippershey, Zacharias Janssen and Jacob Machius, and improved by Galileo in 1609? Refracting telescope. The refracting telescope, a revolutionary optical instrument, was first developed in the Netherlands in 1608. While Hans Lippershey, Zacharias Janssen, and Jacob Machius are credited with early designs, Galileo Galilei significantly improved it in 1609, using it to make groundbreaking astronomical observations. Who was the Greek god of medicine who brought dead people back to life, angering Zeus who killed him with a thunderbolt? Aesculapius. In Greek mythology, Asclepius, Latinized as Aesculapius, was the god of medicine and healing, revered for his ability to cure ailments and even resurrect the dead. His potent healing powers angered Zeus, who feared the disruption of the natural order and ultimately struck Asclepius down with a thunderbolt. What is the alternative name for Pluto, the Greek god of the underworld, which has become synonymous with hell? Hades. In Greek mythology, Hades is the god of the dead and the king of the underworld, the shadowy realm where souls go after death. His name is often used interchangeably with the underworld itself, and over time, it has come to signify a place of punishment or eternal damnation. Antoni Gaudí is credited with the architectural design of which iconic building, still under construction based on his original plans and drawings, decades after his death. Sagrada Familia. The Sagrada Familia, a large unfinished Roman Catholic minor basilica in Barcelona, Spain, is a masterpiece of Catalan modernism designed by Antoni Gaudí. Despite his death in 1926, construction continues to follow his intricate designs, making it a unique ongoing architectural project and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Which Olympic Games were the first to feature representation from all inhabited continents, with all athletic events held within a single stadium? 1912, Stockholm. The 1912 Summer Olympics in Stockholm, Sweden, were significant as they marked the first time that athletes from all 5 inhabited continents participated. This event showcased the growing international reach of the Olympic movement and standardized the practice of centralizing athletic competitions within one main venue. Identify the large, non-venomous snake species native to South America and Trinidad, known to reach lengths of approximately 23 feet, 7.0 meters, characterized by its olive-green coloration, black blotches, and distinctive orange-yellow striping on either side of its head. Anaconda. The anaconda refers primarily to the green anaconda, Eunectes murinus, one of the heaviest and longest snakes in the world, found in the tropical regions of South America. As a constrictor, it is non-venomous and hunts by coiling around its prey, suffocating it before swallowing it whole. What is the term for the minimum number of members required to be present for a meeting to be validly constituted and for its proceedings to be official? Quorum. A quorum is the minimum number of members of an assembly or society that must be present at any of its meetings to make the proceedings of that meeting valid. It is a fundamental principle of parliamentary procedure and corporate governance, ensuring that decisions are made with sufficient representation. For what medical condition is amyl nitrate primarily used in treatment? Angina pectoris, pain in the heart. Amyl nitrite, often referred to as amyl nitrate, though chemically distinct, both are vasodilators, is a vasodilator often used to treat angina pectoris, or chest pain caused by reduced blood flow to the heart. It works by relaxing blood vessels, which increases blood supply to the heart and reduces its workload. The term, New England, covers the U.S. states of Maine, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, Rhode Island and which other state? New Hampshire. The New England region is a historical and geographical area in the northeastern United States. It comprises 6 states, Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. This region is known for its historical significance, distinct culture, and diverse landscapes. What international movement has a pink triangle as its symbol? Gay rights. The pink triangle, originally used by the Nazis to identify homosexuals in concentration camps, was reclaimed in the 1970s as a symbol of gay rights. It serves as a powerful reminder of past persecution and a beacon for LGBTQ+ activism and pride. Who married the woman who was to become Queen Beatrix of the Netherlands, on the 10th of March 1966? Prince Claus. Queen Beatrix of the Netherlands married Prince Claus of the Netherlands, born Klaus Georg Wilhelm Otto Friedrich Gerd von Amsberg, on March 10, 1966. Prince Claus, a German diplomat, became a popular and respected figure in the Netherlands, playing a significant role in supporting his wife's reign. Who was born in Cowley, Oxfordshire, and in Oxford built and sold bicycles, motorcycles and, in 1912, his first car, the Morris Oxford? Lord Nuffield. William Morris, later Lord Nuffield, was a British industrialist and philanthropist who founded Morris Motors Limited. He began his career by building and selling bicycles and motorcycles before producing his first car, the Morris Oxford, in 1912, significantly contributing to the British automotive industry. New York City consists of the boroughs of the Bronx, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Staten Island, and which other? Queens. New York City is composed of 5 principal boroughs, each a county of New York State. These boroughs are Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, and Staten Island, collectively forming one of the world's most populous and influential metropolitan areas. Which building on the Ile de la Cité in Paris took 300 years to build from 1163, and was one of the first to have flying buttresses? Notre Dame. Notre Dame Cathedral, located on the Ile de la Cité in Paris, is a masterpiece of French Gothic architecture. Its construction began in 1163 and spanned over 300 years, making it one of the earliest cathedrals to incorporate the innovative architectural feature of flying buttresses for structural support. What term is familiarly applied to the university where one received one's education? Alma mater. The term, alma mater, is a Latin phrase meaning, nourishing mother, traditionally used to refer to the university, college, or school that one formerly attended. It signifies the institution's role in nurturing a student's intellectual and personal growth. What is the longest continuously serving state capital in the USA? Boston, Massachusetts. Boston has been the capital of Massachusetts since the colonial era, making it one of the longest continuously serving state capitals in the United States. Its historical significance spans from the American Revolution to its current role as a major economic and cultural hub. Where was the most damage done by the Loma Prieta earthquake that struck on the 17th of October 1989? San Francisco Bay Area, California. The Loma Prieta earthquake was a major seismic event that struck Northern California on October 17, 1989, causing significant damage, particularly in the San Francisco Bay Area. It registered a magnitude of 6.9 and led to widespread infrastructure failure, including the collapse of sections of the Cypress Street Viaduct. 11.001000100011111110 is an approximation, in binary, of a mathematical constant relating to what? A circle's circumference and diameter. The binary approximation 11.0010001000111110 represents the mathematical constant pi. Pi is a fundamental constant in mathematics that expresses the ratio of a circle's circumference to its diameter, approximately 3.14159 in decimal form. What word best describes a political situation common to England in 1647, France in 1789, Spain in 1936 and Jamaica in 1720? Anarchy. The term, anarchy, describes a state of disorder due to absence or non-recognition of authority. The mentioned years, England 1647, France 1789, Spain 1936, Jamaica 1720, refer to periods of significant political upheaval and collapse of central authority, characteristic of anarchic conditions. Who was the first Chancellor of West Germany from 1949 to 1963, who retired at age 87? Konrad Adenauer. Konrad Adenauer served as the first Chancellor of West Germany from 1949 to 1963, playing a pivotal role in the country's post-World War II reconstruction and its integration into the Western Alliance. His leadership was instrumental in shaping the early Federal Republic of Germany. Which French city near the Mediterranean Sea was an embarkation point for the 7th and 8th Crusades, and is now a tourist destination because of its well-preserved city walls? Aigues-Mortes. Aigues-Mortes is a historic walled city in France, notable for being the departure point for the 7th and 8th Crusades, led by King Louis IX. Its remarkably preserved medieval city walls make it a significant historical and architectural site today. Theo van Doesburg, Piet Mondrian, Wilmos Husa and Bart van der Lek are identified with what art movement? Neoplasticism. Theo van Doesburg, Piet Mondrian, Wilmos Husa, and Bart van der Lek were key figures in neoplasticism, an art movement also known as the Stigel. This movement advocated for pure abstraction, characterized by the use of primary colors and non-objective forms based on vertical and horizontal lines. What is an Aramaic word meaning father, that is used as a title of respect to bishops and patriarchs in Coptic, Syrian and Abyssinian churches? Abba. Abba is an Aramaic word meaning father, used as a title of respect for bishops and patriarchs within Coptic, Syrian, and Abyssinian, Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Christian churches. This term reflects a deep reverence and spiritual authority attributed to these religious leaders. Which river forms the border between Zimbabwe and Zambia? Zambezi. The Zambezi River is the fourth longest river in Africa and a major trans-boundary watercourse. It forms a significant natural boundary between Zimbabwe and Zambia, famously home to the Victoria Falls, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Which country was the largest producer of kiwi fruit, also known as Chinese gooseberry or kiwi, in 2012? Italy. While New Zealand is often associated with kiwi fruit, Italy was the world's leading producer in 2012, showcasing the global diversity of agricultural production. This illustrates how climate, cultivation techniques, and market demand influence agricultural output across different regions. Who was the first president of the French Fifth Republic? Charles de Gaulle. Charles de Gaulle was a prominent French general and statesman who played a pivotal role in World War II as the leader of the Free French forces. He later became the first president of the French Fifth Republic in 1959, establishing a strong presidential system that continues to define French politics. Which Scottish architect, buried in Westminster Abbey, is famous for his innovative designs in staircases, fireplaces, chimney pieces, and furniture for 18th century residences? Robert Adam. Robert Adam was an influential Scottish neoclassical architect, interior designer, and furniture designer. His distinctive Adam style became highly fashionable in the late 18th century, characterized by its elegance, lightness, and elaborate ornamentation, often drawing inspiration from classical antiquity. 5-spice powder is commonly used in which ethnic cuisine? Chinese. 5-spice powder is a fundamental spice blend in Chinese cuisine, embodying the balance of 5 fundamental flavors: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and umami. It typically consists of star anise, cloves, Chinese cinnamon, Sichuan peppercorns, and fennel seeds, and is used in a wide array of dishes. Greenland and the Faroe Islands are dependencies of which European nation? Denmark. Greenland and the Faroe Islands are autonomous constituent countries within the Kingdom of Denmark. They maintain a high degree of self-governance, particularly in internal affairs, while Denmark is responsible for foreign policy, defense, and monetary policy. Which drummer for the 1960s rock band Holy Model Rounders, featured in the movie Easy Rider, received the Pulitzer Prize for Drama in 1979 for his play Buried Child? Sam Shepard. Sam Shepard was an acclaimed American playwright, actor, and director, known for his gritty, realistic plays often set in the American West. His play, Buried Child, won the Pulitzer Prize for Drama in 1979, exploring themes of family dysfunction, myth, and the American dream. The anniversary that commemorates Captain Arthur Phillip founding the British colony of Australia in 1788 is celebrated on which day every year? The 26th of January. Australia Day, celebrated on January 26, commemorates the arrival of the First Fleet at Sydney Cove in 1788 and the proclamation of British sovereignty over the eastern seaboard of Australia. This date marks the beginning of European settlement in Australia and is observed as the national day. Nitroglycerin is made by treating glycerin with nitric acid and what? Sulfuric acid. Nitroglycerin is an explosive liquid derived from glycerin, commonly used in the manufacture of dynamite and as a vasodilator in medicine. Its synthesis involves the nitration of glycerol using a mixture of concentrated nitric acid and sulfuric acid, with sulfuric acid acting as a dehydrating agent. What organization financed Henry Hudson's voyage when he explored much of what is now Hudson Strait and Hudson Bay in 1610? Virginia Company with the British East India Company. Henry Hudson's 1610 voyage, during which he explored the Arctic regions of North America, including the strait and bay that bear his name, was primarily financed by the Virginia Company and the British East India Company. These companies sponsored exploration to discover a northwest passage to Asia, hoping for new trade routes. What light display in Antarctica is caused by atomic bombardment from the Sun on the Earth's magnetic field? Aurora australis. The aurora australis, also known as the southern lights, is a natural light display in Earth's sky, predominantly observed in high-latitude regions like Antarctica. It is caused by disturbances in the magnetosphere, resulting from solar wind and cosmic ray interactions with the Earth's magnetic field, leading to ionized atmospheric particles emitting light. What is the name for a queen reigning in her own right, with her husband as one of her subjects? Queen regnant. A queen regnant is a female monarch who reigns in her own right, rather than as the wife of a king. Her powers and duties are identical to those of a king, and her husband, if she has one, does not share her sovereign rank but is considered a consort. This distinguishes her from a queen consort, who is merely the wife of a reigning king. What is the name for the flight of Muhammad from Makkah to Medina, from which Muslims date their era? Hijrah. The Hijrah refers to the migration of Prophet Muhammad and his followers from Makkah to Medina in 622 CE. This pivotal event marks the beginning of the Islamic calendar, Hijri calendar, and is a foundational moment in Islamic history, establishing the first Muslim community. Who wrote The Threepenny Opera, The Caucasian Chalk Circle, and Life of Galileo? Bertolt Brecht. Bertolt Brecht was an influential German playwright and poet, renowned for his development of epic theatre. His works, such as The Threepenny Opera, often explored socio-political themes and challenged traditional dramatic conventions. What name is given to the house constructed by beavers? Lodge. A beaver lodge is a dome-shaped structure built by beavers, typically from branches, mud, and rocks, providing protection from predators and the elements. These lodges are often constructed in rivers or ponds, with underwater entrances to enhance security. Members of which family were, at various times, kings or emperors of Germany, Austria, Rome, Hungary, Spain and Bohemia between 1273 and 1918? Habsburg. The House of Habsburg was one of the most prominent royal houses of Europe, ruling over vast territories including the Holy Roman Empire, Austria, and Spain for centuries. Their influence was central to European politics and history from the late Middle Ages until the end of World War I. Swiss physician and psychologist Carl Jung was initially a disciple of whom? until he disagreed with his theories regarding the libido etc. Sigmund Freud. Carl Jung, a prominent Swiss psychiatrist, was initially a close associate of Sigmund Freud, the founder of psychoanalysis. Their eventual divergence stemmed from fundamental disagreements, particularly regarding Freud's emphasis on the libido and Jung's development of analytical psychology. William Randolph Hearst, Turk Murphy, Wyatt Earp and Joe DiMaggio are buried in cemeteries at Colma, where the dead outnumber the living by thousands to one. Where is Colma? San Mateo County, California. Colma, located in San Mateo County, California, is notable for its numerous cemeteries, which house a significantly larger population of deceased individuals than living residents. This unusual demographic arose from a 1902 San Francisco ordinance that prohibited further burials within the city limits, leading to relocation of deceased. The Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, established in 1884, was formed by people from what religion? Jehovah's Witnesses. The Watchtower Bible and Tract Society is the legal entity used by Jehovah's Witnesses to publish their literature and oversee their global activities. Established in 1884, it plays a central role in the administration and doctrinal development of the Jehovah's Witnesses faith. Which winner of an Oscar, a Grammy, an Emmy, a Tony and a Pulitzer, wrote musicals with Hart, Hammerstein and Sondheim? Richard Rodgers. Richard Rodgers was an American composer, known for his groundbreaking collaborations in musical theater. He is one of the few EGOT winners, Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony, and also a Pulitzer Prize recipient, making him a highly decorated figure in the arts. From which play is the quotation, "All the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players." As You Like It. This famous quote is from William Shakespeare's pastoral comedy, As You Like It. It is part of a monologue delivered by the character Jacques in Act 2, Scene 7, reflecting on the transient nature of human life and its various stages. What is the name for what is commonly known as aspirin? Acetyl salicylic acid. Aspirin is a common medication used to reduce pain, fever, and inflammation. Its scientific name is acetyl salicylic acid, a synthetic derivative of salicylic acid, which was originally isolated from willow bark. What event affecting television happened in the United States on the 17th of February 2009 and in Canada on the 31st of August 2011? Cessation of analog transmissions. The cessation of analog television transmissions marked the digital television transition, where broadcasters switched from analog to digital signals. This move freed up valuable spectrum for other uses and enabled higher quality picture and sound for viewer. What disaster occurred on the San Andreas Fault in 1906? San Francisco earthquake. The Great San Francisco Earthquake of 1906, with an estimated magnitude of 7.9, caused widespread destruction and fires in San Francisco and the surrounding area. It was one of the most significant earthquakes in U.S. history, highlighting the seismic activity along the San Andreas Fault. What was the occupation of Vaslav Nijinsky from 1908? Dancer and choreographer. Vaslav Nijinsky was a legendary Russian ballet dancer and choreographer of Polish descent, known for his virtuosity and intense characterizations. He was a principal dancer of the ballets Russes and revolutionized male dance with his dramatic and innovative performances in the early 20th century. What was the first combat aircraft to provide cabin pressurization for the crew? B-29 bomber. The Boeing B-29 Superfortress, first flown in 1942, was a significant heavy bomber used by the United States during World War II. It was notable for its advanced features, including remote-controlled defensive guns and, importantly, a fully pressurized cabin which allowed for high-altitude flight without requiring crew members to wear oxygen masks continuously. Middelburg is the capital of which province in the southwest of the Netherlands? Zeeland. Middelburg is the capital city of the province of Zeeland in the Netherlands. Zeeland is located in the southwestern part of the country, characterized by its many islands and peninsulas, and is known for its strong connection to the sea. Who wrote Auld Lang Syne in 1789? Robert Burns. Auld Lang Syne is a traditional Scottish song and poem, most famously written by Robert Burns in 1788. It is widely known for being sung to bid farewell to the old year at the stroke of midnight on New Year's Eve, particularly in English-speaking countries. Which Greek mathematician, physicist, engineer, inventor, and astronomer used the method of exhaustion to calculate the area under a parabola, and provided formulas for the volumes of surfaces of revolution and a system for expressing very large numbers? Archimedes. Archimedes was a monumental figure in ancient Greek science, known for his contributions to mathematics, physics, and engineering. His work on the method of exhaustion laid groundwork for integral calculus, and he is also famous for Archimedes' principle and inventing devices like the Archimedes screw. In Greek mythology, who was the son of King Atreus of Mycenae and Queen Aerope, murdered by his wife Clytemnestra on his return home from the Trojan War? Agamemnon. Agamemnon is a central figure in Greek mythology, particularly in Homer's Iliad and subsequent tragic plays. As the leader of the Achaean forces during the Trojan War, his story explores themes of leadership, sacrifice, and the tragic consequences of war and betrayal upon return. What is the second longest named river in the USA, which runs from Lake Itasca, Minnesota, to the Gulf of Mexico? Mississippi. The Mississippi River is one of the world's major river systems in length and drainage area, flowing entirely within the United States. Its vast basin is historically and economically significant, serving as a crucial waterway for trade and settlement and defining much of the nation's geography. What is the name of the English law that prevents anyone building so as to completely cut out light from a window that had provided light for at least 20 years? Ancient lights. The doctrine of ancient lights in English property law grants a landowner the right to a certain amount of light through an aperture if it has received natural light for at least 20 years. This common law easement prevents neighbors from obstructing this light, protecting the amenity of the property. An aviary is a place to keep what? Birds. An aviary is a large enclosure, cage, or room for confining birds. Unlike a bird cage, aviaries are usually large enough for birds to fly freely, often designed to mimic their natural habitat and promote breeding. In 1898, an agreement was made between Britain and China for a 99-year lease for part of which colony? Hong Kong. In 1898, Britain obtained a 99-year lease for the new territories, Stonecutters Island, and Mears Bay from China, significantly expanding its Hong Kong colony. This lease expired in 1997, leading to the handover of all of Hong Kong back to China, a pivotal event in recent global history. Yale University is in which state of the USA? Connecticut. Yale University, founded in 1701, is a prestigious private Ivy League research university located in New Haven, Connecticut. It is one of the oldest and most renowned universities in the United States, known for its extensive academic programs and historical contributions. What event led to a U.S. grand jury indicting E. Howard Hunt Jr. and G. Gordon Liddy for conspiracy, burglary and violation of federal wiretapping laws? Watergate. The Watergate scandal was a major political scandal in the United States from 1972 to 1974, leading to President Richard Nixon's resignation. It began with a break-in at the Democratic National Committee headquarters and uncovered widespread abuses of power by the Nixon administration. Which science fiction writer developed the 3 laws of robotics? Isaac Asimov. Isaac Asimov, a renowned science fiction author and biochemist, introduced the 3 laws of robotics in his 1942 short story, Runaround. These foundational laws outline ethical guidelines for robotic behavior, primarily to ensure robots do not harm humans and obey human commands. The drink of the gods is nectar. What is the food of the gods? Ambrosia. In Greek mythology, ambrosia is the food of the Olympian gods, often depicted as bestowing immortality or eternal youth upon those who consume it. It is frequently mentioned alongside nectar, the divine drink, symbolizing divine sustenance and power. Of which species of plant found on the floors of East Asian forests from eastern India, Indochina, China and Japan have 93 species been formally described, and, it is speculated, there may be 200 to 300. Aspidistra. Aspidistra is a genus of flowering plants native to East Asian forests, particularly known for their resilience and ability to thrive in low-light conditions. Often called cast iron plants, they are popular ornamental houseplants due to their hardiness and attractive foliage. What weapon, used by some African tribes, is a light-throwing spear, tipped with iron? Assegai. An assegai is a light-throwing spear with an iron tip, historically used by various southern African tribes, most notably the Zulu. It was a primary weapon for hunting and warfare, valued for its balance and penetrating power. Who won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1983 and was President of Poland from 1990 to 1995? Lech Walesa. Lech Walesa is a Polish statesman and former trade union leader who served as President of Poland from 1990 to 1995. He was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1983 for his pivotal role in leading the Solidarity movement, which significantly contributed to the peaceful transition from communist rule in Poland. What is a navigation instrument used until the 18th century to measure the angles between heavenly bodies, or between them and the horizon? Astrolabe. An astrolabe was an ancient astronomical instrument widely used by astronomers and navigators until the 18th century. It enabled users to solve problems relating to time and the position of the sun and stars, measure altitudes of celestial bodies, and determine local time. Why were the fossilized remains of an extinct human species, discovered in 1856, named Neanderthal man? They were found in the Neander Valley. Neanderthal man refers to an extinct species or subspecies of archaic humans who inhabited Eurasia until approximately 40,000 years ago. The name originates from the Neander Valley, Neandertal in German, near Düsseldorf, Germany, where the first significant fossil remains were discovered in 1856. This landmark discovery was crucial in the development of human evolutionary theory. What type of musical instrument can be played using the pizzicato technique? String instruments. Pizzicato is a performance technique used on string instruments where the performer plucks the strings with a finger rather than drawing a bow across them. This method produces a short, staccato sound, distinct from the sustained tone achieved with bowing, and is often employed for rhythmic emphasis or specific tonal effects in various musical genres. Who ascended to the throne as King of Belgium on the 9th of August 1993? King Albert II. King Albert II became the sixth king of the Belgians on August 9, 1993, following the unexpected death of his elder brother, King Baudouin. He reigned for 2 decades before abdicating in 2013 due to age and health concerns, passing the crown to his eldest son, Philippe. His reign oversaw periods of significant constitutional and social evolution in Belgium. Which major city, founded in 1624 as a Dutch commercial trading post named New Amsterdam, served as the nation's capital from 1785 until 1790? New York. New York City, originally established as New Amsterdam by the Dutch in 1624, evolved into a vital economic and cultural center. Following its cession to the English and subsequent renaming, it served as the capital of the United States from 1785 to 1790. This period was crucial for the young nation, as major legislative and constitutional developments occurred there. What is the approximate temperature of absolute zero? Minus 273.15 degrees Celsius. Absolute zero is the lowest theoretical limit of the thermodynamic temperature scale, at which the entropy of a cooled ideal gas reaches its minimum value. It is defined as 0 Kelvin, 0 K, which is equivalent to approximately minus 273.15 degrees Celsius, minus 459.67 degrees Fahrenheit. This temperature represents the point where particles possess the minimum possible vibrational motion. Who historically resided in a seraglio? Wives and concubines. A seraglio historically refers to a secluded and often opulent part of a palace or mansion, particularly associated with the Ottoman Empire. It was traditionally where the wives, concubines, female relatives, and female servants of a sultan or nobleman resided. The term is sometimes used interchangeably with harem, though seraglio can also refer to the entire palace complex. Which acclaimed Irish author wrote the novels, A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man, Ulysses, and Finnegan's Wake? James Joyce. James Joyce was a seminal Irish novelist and short story writer, widely considered one of the most influential figures of 20th century literature. His iconic works, including Ulysses and Finnegan's Wake, are celebrated for their experimental use of language, groundbreaking stream of consciousness narrative, and profound exploration of Irish identity and human consciousness. What name was applied to an army unit composed of New Zealand and Australian troops in World War I? ANZACs. ANZAC stands for Australian and New Zealand Army Corps. This term gained prominence during World War I, particularly after their courageous landing at Gallipoli on April 25, 1915, a date now commemorated as Anzac Day. The ANZACs were known for their resilience and camaraderie. What is an aficionado of Gilbert and Sullivan's light operas called? Gilbertian. Gilbertian refers to the style or works of W. S. Gilbert and Arthur Sullivan, known for their satirical light operas such as The Pirates of Penzance and HMS Pinafore. The term often implies a situation characterized by witty paradox and absurdity, reflecting the unique humor of their collaborations. Who began producing accounts of debates in the British Parliament in 1803, a work continued by his family until it was taken over by the staff of The Times in 1895? Thomas Hansard. Thomas Hansard was a British printer and publisher who founded Hansard's Parliamentary Debates, which is the official report of proceedings in the Parliament of the United Kingdom. His name has since become synonymous with the verbatim records of parliamentary debates across many Commonwealth nations. What name is given to the death of tissue due to failure of the blood supply? Necrosis. Necrosis is a form of cell injury that results in the premature death of cells in living tissue through autolysis. It is typically caused by external factors such as infection, toxins, or trauma, particularly the interruption of blood flow, known as ischemia. When the Titanic set out on her maiden voyage, she had enough lifeboats for what percentage of the passengers and crew that were on board? 50%. The RMS Titanic, on its maiden voyage in 1912, carried lifeboats for only about 50% of the total capacity of passengers and crew. This was legally compliant with regulations of the time, which were based on ship tonnage rather than the number of people on board. This inadequacy significantly contributed to the high death toll when the ship sank. In the sentence, we listen to the whispering. Which word is the gerund? Whispering. A gerund is a verb form that functions as a noun, ending in ing. In the sentence, we listen to the whispering. Whispering acts as the object of the preposition to, thus functioning as a noun and indicating an action or state. What was the fate of Vidkun Quisling, a Norwegian who helped Germany to invade and conquer Norway in 1940? He was convicted of treason and executed by firing squad. Vidkun Quisling was a Norwegian military officer and politician who collaborated with Nazi Germany during World War II, heading a puppet government in Norway. After the war, he was arrested, convicted of high treason, and executed by firing squad in October 1945, with his name becoming a synonym for traitor. Which German scientist published The Natural History of Creation in 1876, proposing that humans descended from apes, and The Riddle of the Universe in 1899, arguing for natural causes of creation? Ernst Heinrich Haeckel. Ernst Heinrich Haeckel was a prominent German zoologist, naturalist, philosopher, physician, professor, and artist who discovered, described, and named thousands of new species. He was a leading proponent of Darwinism in Germany, and his works popularized evolutionary theory, often extending it with his own philosophical ideas, including the controversial concept of recapitulation theory. The Great Falls of the Potomac River are located upstream, to the northwest, of which U.S. city? Washington. The Great Falls of the Potomac River are a series of rapids and waterfalls on the Potomac River, marking the transition from the Piedmont to the coastal plain. They are located just upstream of Washington, D.C., and are a significant natural landmark in the region. What was King George VI's first name? Albert. King George VI, born Albert Frederick Arthur George, was the monarch of the United Kingdom and the dominions of the British Commonwealth from the 11th of December 1936 until his death in 1952. He ascended the throne after his elder brother Edward VIII abdicated, and his reign saw the outbreak of World War II. What is the name given to the retreat from Chiang Kai-shek's forces by the Chinese communists from Jiangxi to Shaanxi, a 9,600 kilometers, 5,965 mile, year-long journey that began in October 1934? The Long March. The Long March was a military retreat undertaken by the Red Army of the Communist Party of China to evade the pursuit of the Kuomintang Army during the Chinese Civil War. It consisted of a series of marches by various communist armies, the most famous being the 9,600 kilometers journey from Jiangxi to Shaanxi, which established Mao Zedong's leadership. What word best describes a triangle where two sides are equal? Isosceles. An isosceles triangle is a type of triangle that has two sides of equal length. Consequently, the angles opposite these equal sides are also equal, a key property in geometry. At which university on the 4th of May 1970 were 4 students killed and 9 wounded when an Army National Guard unit fired at students during a protest against the US invasion of Cambodia during the Vietnam War? Kent State University. The Kent State shootings occurred on May 4, 1970, when members of the Ohio National Guard fired into a crowd of unarmed students during an anti-Vietnam War protest at Kent State University. The event led to 4 student deaths and 9 injuries, significantly escalating public outrage against the war and government policies. In the Roman calendar, what was the 7th day called for the months of March, May, July and October? Nuns. In the Roman calendar, the nuns, Latin, nonnae, were one of the 3 main reference dates in a month, along with the calends, first day, and ides. The nuns typically fell on the 5th day of most months, but on the 7th day for March, May, July, and October. Which author, who wrote Portrait of a Lady, The American, and Roderick Hudson, was born in New York in 1843 and became a naturalized Englishman in 1915? Henry James. Henry James was an American-born British writer, regarded as a key transitional figure between literary realism and modernism. His notable works, including The Portrait of a Lady and The American, explore themes of consciousness, morality, and the complex interplay between American and European cultures. What does the number of protons in the nucleus of an atom relate directly to? Its atomic number. The atomic number, Z, of an element is defined by the number of protons found in the nucleus of every atom of that element. This number uniquely identifies an element and determines its position in the periodic table, as protons define the chemical properties of an atom. What is the next in the series? Waterloo, Blackfriars Railway, Millennium? Southwark. This question refers to a sequence of bridges or stations along the River Thames in London. Southwark Bridge is located between Millennium Bridge and Cannon Street Railway Bridge, forming part of the historical and geographical landscape of central London. What multi-venue rock music concert, held on the 13th of July 1985, was organized by Bob Geldof and Midge Ure to raise funds for famine relief in Ethiopia? Live Aid. Live Aid was a massive multi-venue charity concert held on July 13, 1985, organized by Bob Geldof and Midge Ure. Its primary goal was to raise funds for famine relief in Ethiopia, attracting an estimated audience of 1.9 billion across 150 countries and significantly impacting global awareness and humanitarian efforts. What is the literal translation of Ave Maria? Hail Mary. Ave Maria is a traditional Catholic prayer and a Latin salutation to Mary, the mother of Jesus. Its literal translation means, Hail Mary, a phrase originating from the salutation of the Archangel Gabriel to Mary in the Gospel of Luke. What is the fate of Carmen in Bizet's opera? She was stabbed to death by her lover. In Georges Bizet's renowned opera, Carmen, the tragic protagonist, Carmen, meets her end when she is stabbed to death by her spurned lover, Don José. This climactic act of passion and betrayal is a central element of the opera's dramatic narrative and its exploration of themes like freedom, fate, and obsession. What is the name given to a cataclysmic nuclear explosion caused by the accretion of hydrogen onto the surface of a white dwarf star? Nova. A nova is a transient astronomical event that causes the sudden appearance of a new, bright star in the night sky, slowly fading over several weeks or months. It occurs on the surface of a white dwarf star in a binary system, where hydrogen gas accreted from a companion star undergoes runaway nuclear fusion. Which English dramatist, poet, and translator of the Elizabethan era had a mysterious and untimely death? Christopher Marlowe. Christopher Marlowe was a prominent English dramatist and poet of the Elizabethan era, known for his powerful blank verse and works like Dr. Faustus. His untimely death in 1593, reportedly in a tavern brawl, remains a subject of historical debate and speculation. Where in New York City are the New York Zoo and the New York Botanical Gardens located? Bronx Park. Bronx Park is a large municipal park located in the Bronx, New York City, and is notable for housing major cultural and scientific institutions. It is home to the Bronx Zoo, one of the largest metropolitan zoos in the United States, and the New York Botanical Garden, a National Historic Landmark. The first railway line across the USA, from the East Coast to San Francisco via Chicago, Omaha, and Salt Lake City, was completed in what year? 1869. The first transcontinental railroad in the United States was completed on May 10, 1869, at Promontory Summit, Utah. This monumental engineering feat connected the existing eastern U.S. rail network with the Pacific coast, significantly accelerating westward expansion and economic development. As of the 2006 elections, which Sunni Islamist paramilitary organization and political party held a majority of seats in the Legislative Council of the State of Palestine, known since 2012 as the Palestinian National Authority. Hamas. Hamas is a Palestinian Sunni Islamist fundamentalist organization and political party that has governed the Gaza Strip since its victory in the 2006 Palestinian legislative elections. Designated as a terrorist organization by several countries, it also operates a military wing responsible for numerous attacks. What is the branch of the Mediterranean Sea between Greece and Asia Minor which contains many Greek islands? Aegean Sea. The Aegean Sea is an elongated embayment of the Mediterranean Sea located between the Balkan and Anatolian peninsulas. It is famous for its numerous islands, many of which are historically significant Greek islands, and plays a crucial role in the region's geography and culture. What is a collector of coins and medals called? Numismatist. A numismatist is a person who studies or collects currency, including coins, tokens, paper money, and related objects. Numismatics as a field of study is concerned with the history, production, and cultural significance of currency, providing insights into economics, art, and historical periods. What type of design was used for London's Millennium Footbridge across the Thames, that opened on the 10th of June 2000? Steel suspension bridge. The Millennium Bridge is a prominent landmark in London, known for its unique, blade of light, design as a steel suspension bridge. Its initial wobbling, leading to its nickname, Wobbly Bridge, is a notable engineering anecdote and subject of study. What sea creature living in the Arctic has a tapering tusk, spirally grooved, 2 to 3 meters, 7 to 10 feet, long? Narwhale. The narwhale, Monodon monoceros, is an Arctic whale species renowned for its distinctive long, spirally grooved tusk, which is actually an elongated canine tooth. This tusk can grow up to 3 meters in males and is believed to have sensory functions, aiding in foraging and navigation. Who led the expedition that successfully made the first ascent of Mount Everest in 1953? Colonel H.C.J. John Hunt. John Hunt led the 9th British expedition to Mount Everest in 1953, successfully placing Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay on the summit. His leadership was crucial in orchestrating the complex logistics and teamwork required for this historic achievement in mountaineering. What is an apparatus consisting of a frame containing a number of parallel wires on which there are rows of beads which can be moved left and right? Abacus. The abacus is an ancient calculating tool used for arithmetic operations, consisting of beads that slide on rods or wires within a frame. It predates modern electronic calculators and was widely used across many cultures, particularly in Asia, for complex computations. What name is given to the activities of the specially constituted group of British, American, Russian and French judges that tried Nazi party leaders and German military commanders after World War II? Nuremberg Trials. The Nuremberg Trials were a series of military tribunals held after World War II by the Allied powers, prosecuting prominent members of Nazi Germany for war crimes, crimes against humanity, and crimes against peace. These trials established foundational principles of international criminal law and accountability.